Number 3. Why did it surface? The sudden surfacing of a U.S. submarine near Chinese warships in the South China Sea is an event that has sparked considerable speculation and analysis. One of the leading theories is that it was a deliberate move by the U.S. Navy to send a clear and unambiguous message to China. By surfacing in such close proximity to Chinese military vessels, the U.S. could be asserting its presence and capability in contested waters, reaffirming its commitment to freedom of navigation and its opposition to China's expansive territorial claims. This act of strategic signaling is often used in military operations to convey strength without direct confrontation. Another possibility is that the submarine surfaced due to operational needs or unexpected technical issues. Submarines, despite their advanced technology, may occasionally need to surface for maintenance, crew safety, or to avoid detection by other submarines. However, the timing and location of this event make this explanation less likely, especially given the sensitive nature of the region and the high stakes involved. There is also the consideration of intelligence gathering. The U.S. submarine may have surfaced after completing a critical mission, such as collecting electronic signals, mapping undersea cables, or monitoring Chinese naval movements. Surfacing in view of Chinese warships could serve a dual purpose, completing the mission and reminding China of U.S. capabilities. Finally, the surfacing could have been a move to de-escalate a potential underwater encounter with Chinese forces. In crowded and strategically sensitive waters like the South China Sea, submarines from multiple nations often operate in close quarters. Surfacing could prevent an unintended clash, demonstrating transparency and reducing the risk of miscalculation in a region already fraught with tension. Number 4. China's quick reaction. China's rapid response to the unexpected surfacing of a U.S. submarine near its warships in the South China Sea was both assertive and strategically calculated. Almost immediately, Chinese naval forces were mobilized to the area, demonstrating their readiness to counter any perceived threats. This swift deployment included additional warships and surveillance aircraft, creating a formidable show of force intended to signal China's control and preparedness in the region. One of the most significant aspects of China's reaction was the use of its state-controlled media to shape the narrative. Chinese news outlets quickly framed the event as an aggressive and provocative move by the United States, reinforcing a message of American hostility toward Chinese sovereignty. This media blitz served not only to rally domestic support, but also to project China's stance to the international community, positioning itself as the defender of regional stability. In parallel with military and media efforts, China likely increased its intelligence operations to closely monitor the activities of the U.S. submarine and any other military assets in the area. This would involve deploying sophisticated radar, sonar, and satellite systems to gather data on the submarine's movements and capabilities. China's military analysts would then assess this information to determine the potential implications of the U.S. action and to adjust their strategic planning accordingly. Moreover, China's reaction wasn't limited to the immediate military response. Diplomatic channels were likely activated to communicate with other regional powers and international organizations, either to downplay the incident or to garner support for China's position. This would include behind-the-scenes efforts to ensure that the narrative of U.S. provocation and Chinese defense was maintained across various diplomatic platforms. China's swift and multifaceted reaction highlights the high stakes involved in the South China Sea and underscores its determination to assert dominance in the face of U.S. military maneuvers. The combination of military readiness, media control, intelligence gathering, and diplomatic outreach illustrates the complexity and intensity of China's approach to managing such incidents, reflecting its broader strategy of safeguarding its interests in the region. The recent incident involving a U.S. Navy submarine surfacing near Chinese warships took place in the highly contested waters of the South China Sea. This region is a significant geopolitical hotspot with multiple nations, including China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei, laying claim to various parts of it. The South China Sea is not only rich in natural resources like oil and gas, but also a critical maritime route, with trillions of dollars in trade passing through annually. The U.S. has long maintained a policy of ensuring freedom of navigation in these waters, which often puts it at odds with China's expansive territorial claims. The incident occurred against this backdrop of ongoing tension and strategic rivalry between the two global powers. Number 1. Tensions in troubled waters. Tensions in the South China Sea have escalated over the years due to several overlapping factors, making it one of the most volatile maritime regions in the world. At the heart of the tension is China's extensive territorial claims, often referred to as the Nine-Dash Line, which covers nearly 90% of the South China Sea. This claim is not recognized by international law, particularly after the 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, which found no legal basis for China's claims. Despite this, China has continued to assert its dominance, militarizing artificial islands and deploying advanced weaponry, including anti-aircraft systems and surface-to-air missiles. The South China Sea is also strategically crucial because it is a major global shipping route, with approximately 1/3 of the world's maritime trade passing through its waters. The region is also rich in natural resources, including vast reserves of oil and natural gas, which further fuels the territorial disputes. For the United States, freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, in the South China Sea are essential to maintaining international maritime law and countering what it views as Chinese aggression. Furthermore, China's aggressive posturing has prompted other nations, such as Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia, to bolster their military capabilities, leading to an arms race in the region. The presence of U.S. military forces, including aircraft carriers and submarines, adds another layer of complexity to the situation, as these forces regularly conduct patrols and exercises to deter Chinese expansion. These ongoing military activities contribute to a highly charged atmosphere, where even minor incidents could potentially escalate into a broader conflict. Number 2. The Submarine, America's silent giant. The Virginia-class submarine, often referred to as one of America's most advanced and capable underwater vessels, represents the cutting edge of naval warfare technology. These submarines are designed for stealth, speed, and multi-mission capability, making them a formidable force in any maritime conflict. Built by General Dynamics Electric Boat and Huntington Ingalls Industries, the Virginia-class subs are nuclear-powered, allowing them to operate underwater for extended periods without surfacing. This capability is crucial for maintaining strategic advantages in contested waters like the South China Sea. Each Virginia-class submarine is equipped with an array of advanced sensors and weapon systems, making it a versatile platform for various operations. The enhanced propulsion system reduces the submarine's acoustic signature, making it nearly undetectable by enemy forces. This stealth is complemented by the sonar suite, one of the most sophisticated in the world, capable of detecting ships and submarines at great distances while remaining hidden. The submarine's armament includes Tomahawk cruise missiles, which can strike targets hundreds of miles away with pinpoint accuracy. Additionally, it can launch torpedoes through its four 533 mm torpedo tubes capable of taking down enemy ships and submarines. The Virginia class also features the ability to deploy Navy SEALs for special operations, using a lockout chamber or dry deck shelter for covert missions. The integration of these technologies allows the Virginia class to perform a wide range of missions, from anti-submarine warfare and intelligence gathering to special operations and land attack missions. This flexibility makes it a critical asset in maintaining U.S. naval dominance and projecting power across the globe, particularly in contested regions where stealth and precision are paramount. Number 5. The world is watching. The international community is closely monitoring the tensions between the U.S. and China, especially after the recent incident involving the surfacing of a U.S. submarine near Chinese warships. This event has heightened global concerns about the stability of the South China Sea, a critical maritime region where international trade routes and geopolitical interests converge. Countries around the world are watching this development with a mixture of apprehension and strategic calculation, recognizing the potential for escalation and its broader implications. In Asia, regional powers like Japan, South Korea, and Australia are particularly attentive to the situation. These nations rely heavily on the South China Sea for trade and are aligned with the U.S. in seeking to counterbalance China's growing influence in the region. Japan, in particular, has increased its defense spending and deepened security cooperation with the U.S., viewing China's actions as a direct challenge to regional security. Australia has also stepped up its naval presence in the region, conducting joint exercises with U.S. forces to demonstrate its commitment to maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific. In Europe, NATO allies are expressing concern about the possibility of a military conflict that could disrupt global trade and economic stability. The European Union has issued statements supporting the need for freedom of navigation and calling for peaceful resolution of disputes. Some EU countries, like the United Kingdom and France, have even deployed naval forces to the region, participating in freedom of navigation operations alongside the U.S. Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia are caught in a difficult position. These nations have territorial disputes with China in the South China Sea, but also have significant economic ties with Beijing. The incident has led them to reassess their security strategies, balancing their economic interests with the need to protect their territorial sovereignty. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, has called for restraint and dialogue, but the underlying tensions remain. Russia and India are also watching the situation closely. Russia, while traditionally aligned with China on many global issues, is wary of any conflict that could destabilize the region and affect its own strategic interests. India, on the other hand, sees this as an opportunity to strengthen its naval presence in the Indo-Pacific, aligning more closely with the U.S. and its allies to counter China's assertiveness. Number 6. What could happen next? The recent surfacing of a U.S. submarine near Chinese warships has set the stage for several potential developments in the South China Sea, each carrying significant global implications. One likely scenario is an increase in military activity in the region. Both the U.S. and China could escalate their naval presence with more frequent patrols, reconnaissance missions, and military exercises. This heightened activity raises the risk of accidental encounters or miscalculations, which could quickly spiral into a more serious confrontation. China might respond by further militarizing the artificial islands it has built in the South China Sea, deploying more advanced missile systems, radar installations, and aircraft. This would solidify its defensive posture, but also provoke a reaction from neighboring countries and the U.S., leading to an arms race in the region. Such a buildup could also prompt the U.S. and its allies to establish a more permanent military presence in nearby areas, such as the Philippines, Vietnam, or Japan, potentially even increasing their naval bases and deploying additional missile defense systems. Diplomatically, this incident could strain U.S.-China relations even further, affecting negotiations on other critical issues like trade, cybersecurity, and climate change. The strategic rivalry might deepen, with both nations seeking to strengthen alliances. The U.S. could push for a more united front among its allies in Asia and Europe, potentially leading to joint military exercises or increased arms sales to countries in the region. On the other hand, China could deepen its ties with Russia and other nations that oppose U.S. influence, seeking to build a counterbalance to the U.S.-led alliances. Another possibility is that this incident could lead to new international diplomatic efforts to prevent escalation. The United Nations or ASEAN might intervene to propose confidence-building measures, such as establishing communication hotlines between military commanders or creating demilitarized zones. However, given the strategic importance of the South China Sea to both the U.S. and China, the effectiveness of such measures is uncertain.